You don't need more time. You don't need more money. You don't need more motivation. What you really need is to fix the one thing silently destroying your future, your attitude. Because right now, your attitude isn't just shaping your mood. It's shaping your entire life. Your attitude decides how you see every problem, and that single decision quietly shapes the direction of your entire life. Every challenge you face arrives without meaning. It is neutral. It has no label, no verdict, no future attached to it. The meaning only appears the moment your mind reacts. That reaction becomes the lens through which you experience the situation, and that lens determines what you do next. One person sees an obstacle and immediately thinks, "This is unfair. This should not be happening to me. I am tired of struggling." Another person sees the same obstacle and thinks, "This is uncomfortable, but it is teaching me something I would never learn in comfort." The situation is identical. The outcome is not. Your attitude is not just a mindset. It is a filter. It decides what you notice, what you ignore, and what you believe is possible. When your attitude is negative, defensive, or hopeless, your brain searches for proof that you are trapped. It highlights every mistake, every delay, every rejection. It convinces you that effort is pointless and that progress is reserved for other people. Without realizing it, you begin to treat temporary problems as permanent limits. But when your attitude shifts, your perception shifts with it. You start looking for leverage instead of excuses. You begin asking different questions. What can I control here? What can I learn here? What skill is missing? What action is still available? This does not make the problem easier. It makes you stronger inside the problem. And strength inside a problem is what creates movement. Most people do not fail because life blocks them. They fail because their attitude shuts down curiosity, creativity, and courage. The moment something goes wrong, they stop searching for solutions and start protecting their comfort. They protect their pride. They protect their story. They protect the idea that they are a victim of circumstances. That attitude feels safe, but it quietly steals momentum. Your attitude is the first decision you make before every other decision. Before effort, before discipline, before consistency, before strategy, comes perspective. If you see difficulty as punishment, you will resist it. If you see difficulty as training, you will use it. Every time you choose a stronger interpretation of your struggle, you reclaim power over the situation. Not control over the outcome, but control over your response. And control over your response is the only real control you will ever have. You can't grow while protecting your ego, because your ego is designed to keep you comfortable, not to make you better. The ego's only job is to protect how you see yourself. It wants to preserve your identity, your image, and your story. It does not care about your future. It only cares about how you feel right now. The moment something goes wrong, your ego steps in with excuses. It tells you the timing was bad. It tells you the system is unfair. It tells you other people had advantages you did not. It tells you that you were misunderstood, overlooked, or unlucky. And sometimes those things are true. But the danger is not in whether they are true. The danger is in what they prevent you from seeing. When you protect your ego, you stop asking the most powerful question available to you. What could I have done better? Not in a way that shames you, but in a way that strengthens you. Growth begins the second you stop defending your past and start improving your future. Most people confuse self-respect with self-protection. They think admitting mistakes makes them weak. In reality, refusing to look at your weaknesses is what keeps you fragile. A strong person is not someone who never fails. A strong person is someone who can look directly at their failure without needing to blame someone else to survive the moment. Your ego wants you to look good. Your future needs you to get better. As long as you say, "I already know this," you close the door to learning. As long as you say, "That is not my fault," you close the door to responsibility. As long as you say, "This is just how I am," you close the door to change. These sentences feel harmless, but they quietly freeze you in place. Real growth is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the gap between who you think you are and what your results actually show. It forces you to accept that effort does not always equal effectiveness. It forces you to admit that some habits you defend are the same habits holding you back. Your ego will always try to protect your identity. But your life is not built by who you believe you are. It is built by what you repeatedly do. Results do not respond to confidence. They respond to correction. Every level of success demands a new version of you. That new version cannot exist if the old one is constantly being defended. You cannot evolve while arguing for your limitations. You cannot improve while justifying your patterns. You cannot become disciplined while explaining why discipline is hard for you. Let go of the need to be right. Let go of the need to look capable. Let go of the need to protect your story. The fastest way forward is humility, because humility keeps your mind open and your standards high at the same time. Your ego wants you to feel safe. Your future needs you to be honest. Your attitude is louder than your talent, because talent only shows what you can do, while your attitude shows who you are every single day. People do not experience your potential first. They experience your presence. They feel your energy. They notice how you respond under pressure, how you speak when things are difficult, and how you carry yourself when no one is applauding you. You can be highly skilled and still be passed over. You can be intelligent and still be ignored. You can be capable and still be forgotten. Not because you are not good enough, but because your attitude quietly communicates how working with you will feel. And people do not build opportunities around talent alone. They build them around trust, reliability, and emotional safety. Your attitude shows up in small moments. It shows up in how you react to feedback. It shows up in how you treat people who cannot help you. It shows up in how you respond when plans change, when instructions are unclear, when progress is slow, and when recognition is missing. These moments reveal far more than your resume ever could. A negative attitude drains rooms before you even realize it. Complaining, resisting, blaming, and constantly focusing on what is wrong may feel honest, but it trains people to associate you with friction. Over time, they stop inviting your input. They stop offering you chances. They stop trusting you with responsibility. Not because you lack ability, but because your attitude signals that working with you will always feel heavy. A strong attitude does the opposite. It does not pretend everything is perfect. It does not ignore problems. It brings solutions. It brings composure. It brings effort without needing to be chased. It brings ownership instead of defensiveness. When people see that you can stay constructive under pressure, they begin to trust you with more. And more responsibility is how growth actually happens. Talent can open a door once. Attitude determines how long you stay in the room. Your attitude teaches others how to treat you. When you show consistency, resilience, and accountability, people feel safe investing in you. They feel safe giving you opportunities that require patience and risk. They feel safe placing your name behind important work. If you want your ability to matter, your attitude must support it. Skill without character is fragile. Potential without professionalism is unreliable. But when discipline, humility, and emotional control walk alongside your talent, you become rare. And in a world full of capable people, the one who brings the right attitude becomes unforgettable. Bad days do not ruin lives. Bad reactions do. Almost every setback that feels like it destroyed your momentum only had power because of what you did next. The problem itself was temporary. The emotional decision you made afterward is what made it last. Everyone experiences disappointment. Everyone faces rejection. Everyone loses something they cared about. Pain is part of being human. But pain does not decide your future. Your response to pain does. When something goes wrong, your nervous system looks for relief. The fastest relief is anger, blame, withdrawal, or distraction. Those reactions feel protective in the moment, but they quietly extend the damage. They keep you stuck in the event instead of moving beyond it. You replay the situation. You rehearse conversations in your head. You carry resentment into new situations that have nothing to do with the original problem. A bad reaction turns a single moment into a long season. Most people do not realize how much time they lose emotionally. They recover physically. They recover financially. They recover socially. But mentally, they stay frozen at the point of impact. Their attitude becomes shaped by something that happened weeks, months, or even years ago. Resilience is not pretending you are fine. It is choosing not to let one experience define how you show up in the next one. It is allowing yourself to feel disappointment without allowing it to become your identity. It is giving pain a place, but not a throne. When you react with bitterness, you hand control to what hurts you. When you react with curiosity, discipline, and responsibility, you take that control back. You start asking what still matters, what still needs to be done, and what still belongs to you. You shrink the emotional footprint of the problem instead of letting it occupy your entire mental space. Your reaction teaches your brain what to expect from life. If you respond to difficulty by quitting, avoiding, or numbing yourself, your brain learns that discomfort means danger. But if you respond by adjusting, learning, and continuing, your brain learns that discomfort is survivable. And what you teach your brain to tolerate determines how far you can go. You cannot control what happens to you. But you can control how much of your future it is allowed to take. A bad day is just information. A bad reaction turns it into a story you live inside. You don't need confidence. You need commitment. Confidence is emotional. Commitment is behavioral. Confidence rises and falls depending on how you feel, how rested you are, how people treat you, and how well things are going. Commitment does not depend on mood. It depends on a decision. Most people wait to feel ready before they move. They wait to feel motivated before they start. They wait to feel certain before they take the risk. But readiness is not something you discover. It is something you build by showing up when you do not feel prepared. Your attitude toward discomfort decides how much progress you are allowed to make. Discomfort is the price of growth. It is the signal that something new is happening inside you. But when your mind interprets discomfort as a warning instead of a requirement, you start negotiating with your goals. You delay. You adjust the standard. You tell yourself you will begin when things calm down. And slowly, the edge you were supposed to develop never forms. Commitment changes how you experience fear. Fear does not disappear. It simply stops being in charge. You act with fear instead of waiting for fear to leave. You move while your hands are shaking. You apply while your doubt is still loud. You practice while your confidence is still fragile. This is how real confidence is created. Not through positive thinking. Through evidence. Through small promises kept. Through showing yourself, again and again, that you can follow through even when your emotions argue against you. When your attitude is built around commitment, your identity begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You begin to see yourself as someone who finishes. You stop asking whether you are capable. You start asking what the next step is. Confidence is a byproduct of consistency. It is not the fuel. It is the exhaust. If you only move when you feel strong, you will spend most of your life waiting. If you move because you decided, you train your mind to obey your values instead of your feelings. Your future does not need you to believe in yourself. It needs you to keep your word to yourself. Commitment builds the person confidence eventually introduces. Your inner dialogue is either building you or breaking you, because the voice you hear the most is the one inside your own head. You cannot escape it. You carry it into every decision, every challenge, and every moment of doubt. And over time, that voice becomes the lens through which you interpret your entire life. Most people underestimate how powerful their self-talk really is. They think it is just thoughts, just background noise, just honesty. But your brain treats repetition as instruction. Whatever you say to yourself often enough becomes familiar, and whatever becomes familiar starts to feel true. When your inner dialogue constantly says, "I am behind, I always mess things up, I am not disciplined enough, or I am not built for this," you are not being realistic. You are training your mind to expect failure before you even begin. That expectation changes how you act. You hesitate more. You commit less fully. You give yourself quieter standards. And when the result falls short, the voice says, "See, I told you." The cycle reinforces itself. Your attitude lives inside the dialogue. The problem is not that you notice your weaknesses. The problem is how you interpret them. There is a difference between awareness and self-attack. Awareness says, "This is the skill I need to build." Self-attack says, "This is who I am." One creates direction. The other creates identity. Your mind listens to how you explain your mistakes. If every error becomes proof that you are incapable, your brain learns to avoid situations where growth is possible. It begins to associate effort with emotional danger. But if mistakes become feedback instead of verdicts, your brain stays open. It stays curious. It stays flexible. You do not need to become overly positive. You need to become precise. Replace global judgments with specific observations. Instead of saying, "I am terrible at this," say, "This part of the process needs more practice." Instead of saying, "I never finish," say, "I need a better system for follow-through." Precision keeps your self-respect intact while still allowing improvement. The voice inside your head is shaping your posture toward life. It is shaping how much risk you take, how much responsibility you accept, and how much discomfort you tolerate. You cannot build a powerful life with a language that constantly weakens you. Change your inner dialogue from a judge into a coach. Not softer, clearer, more demanding, more constructive. Your future self is listening to what you say today. The world does not respond to your intentions. It responds to your behavior. You can care deeply about change. You can want more for your life. You can promise yourself that things will be different. But intention without execution is invisible. No one can see what you meant to do. They only see what you repeatedly do. Your attitude becomes visible through your habits. It shows in how you start your day when no one is watching. It shows in how you handle small responsibilities that feel unimportant. It shows in how you follow through when enthusiasm fades and routine takes over. This is where most people quietly separate themselves from the future they say they want. Good intentions feel productive. They give you emotional relief. You feel aligned with your goals simply by thinking about them. But alignment is not created in thought. It is created in behavior. Your brain learns what matters to you by what you prioritize when it costs you comfort. Your daily actions are a form of communication. They tell the world, and more importantly, they tell you what you truly value. If your behavior does not support your goals, your attitude is not focused on growth. It is focused on reassurance. The hardest part of discipline is not doing the big things. It is respecting the small ones. Showing up on ordinary days. Keeping standards when no one is rewarding you yet. Repeating boring actions long enough for results to finally catch up. Your future is not built by dramatic decisions. It is built by quiet consistency. If you want to know what direction your life is moving in, do not look at your dreams. Look at what you tolerate. Look at the standards you allow for your sleep, your health, your learning, your work ethic, and your relationships. Whatever you repeatedly accept becomes your baseline. And your baseline becomes your lifestyle. A powerful attitude does not wait for external pressure to create internal structure. It creates structure first. It builds routines that protect your priorities. It removes friction around the habits that matter. It treats progress as something scheduled, not something hoped for. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If you want the world to respond differently to you, you must show it a different pattern of behavior. Staying stuck is often more comfortable than becoming better. Not because you do not want more from your life, but because improvement threatens the routines that keep you emotionally safe. Growth forces you to step into unfamiliar standards, unfamiliar expectations, and unfamiliar versions of yourself. Comfort lets you stay exactly where you are without having to explain failure to yourself. Your attitude protects your comfort zone long before it protects your potential. When you tell yourself that now is not the right time, that you need to be more prepared, that you will start when things settle down, you are not making a strategic decision. You are making a safety decision. You are choosing familiarity over uncertainty. And the mind always prefers what it can predict, even if what it can predict is dissatisfaction. Becoming better requires friction. It requires awkward first attempts. It requires visible mistakes. It requires being slower, less efficient, and less impressive than you would like to be. For the ego, that feels dangerous. For growth, it is essential. Most people do not fear failure as much as they fear temporary incompetence. They fear being seen trying. They fear not meeting their own expectations. They fear disrupting the identity they have carefully built. So they stay in environments where their limits are not challenged and their weaknesses remain hidden. But comfort does not protect you from regret. It only delays it. A negative attitude gives you emotional permission to stay small. It tells you that the world is unfair, that circumstances are against you, that change is unrealistic. These thoughts feel validating, but they quietly justify inaction. And inaction slowly becomes your default. A disciplined attitude does the opposite. It accepts discomfort as the cost of transformation. It understands that progress will feel messy before it feels meaningful. It stops waiting for certainty and starts building clarity through action. You do not escape your comfort zone in one dramatic moment. You leave it through repeated small decisions to act even when hesitation feels safer. Staying stuck will always feel easier in the short term. But becoming better is the only choice that still feels right years later. Your attitude decides which pain you live with. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Here is the truth most people never accept. Nothing changes until you change the way you think, react, and show up. Not tomorrow. Not when life gets easier. Not when someone finally understands you. Right now. Fix your attitude. Or stay exactly where you are and call it fate. Your future isn't waiting for luck. It's waiting for a stronger mindset. So choose. Grow. Or stay stuck forever.